Welcome back to Comedy Trap House News. It's your boy Marvin Telp. Now, we're going to start this week's news with Janelle Monáe again. She has now graced us on the cover of Rolling Stone. You see it. Anyway, we want to make this a news story and not just me being a creep. So we also want to put her and the likes of Tina Turner, who was the first black woman who ever graced the cover of Rolling Stone, which is massive, a massive statement for that time. And then you also have the fact that this is not Janelle Monáe's first time on the cover of Rolling Stone. She is a two-time offender, ladies and gentlemen. This beautiful specimen here was back on the cover of, I want to say, March 2018, and looking beautiful. Now, we know which one everyone's finna remember, but you know, we turned it into a news article, a news story, instead of just me being a creep. Now, on to the real news. We're going to jump into California, where the CIF qualifiers for the 1500 has been under a ton of scrutiny, and the scrutiny is it's been so scrutinized that even folks like the person formerly known as Bruce has come out to say something. And to be fair, first, this is what Bruce said. It was put on Twitter. So, I mean, the person formerly known as Bruce. As a somewhat Trek star myself, this is wrong. Help me push back. No one asked you to push at all, Caitlin. So, shut up. But to be fair, Bruce Jenner was that dude as an athlete. He was an Olympian, decorated gold medals. Everyone knew Bruce was the man. And I'm saying Bruce before the transition thing. I don't know the details of how it works, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying the part of what Caitlin is saying is partially true. So what happened was, in this qualifier, because it's for the state tournament, the top three get to go to the qualifiers. Everyone else cannot. The second place qualifying spot was taken by a kid that is transitioning. So it now identifies as a transgendered woman. Okay, now, here's what's not fair. That girl in fourth place should be furious, right? Because she's not allowed to qualify for this person who qualifies for second. And I know you are, it's women's right to stop. Listen, you can argue all of that stuff you want. This is not what this conversation is about. This conversation is just about very clear facts, right? Men are born with more muscle per square inch of body than women are. It's just a physiological thing, right? Women can give birth, men cannot. Now, you can argue all this other stuff. You can do all the surgeries. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is if a trans woman is now, a trans person is now identified as a woman, she will have a physical advantage in athletics. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you want to be fair, to be completely fair, there should be a transgendered event. Now, you'll go, well, that's not fair. It's separatism. It's not. It's understanding that physiologically we're different. That's why men and women compete in two different categories, right? You don't have Brittany Griner trying out for the NBA because she wouldn't make it. It's just what it is, and that's fine. She's an all-star in the WNBA. Now, the same thing for trans people transitioning from men to women and women to men. There should be two categories for there, so they can compete in a place where their peers actually are, and then that will be fair. That's all I'm saying. Say what you want. I'm not arguing politics. I don't care what you identify with yourself is. I really don't give a damn. Just, that's not fair. That's all I'm saying. Now, speaking of things that aren't fair and how life hands out fucking lemons, we're going to jump to, I want to say Louisiana, where Tayshawn Landry, pictured here, was a victim of bullying and just insensitivity. So Tayshawn has cerebral palsy, and I guess his wheelchair was left in a hallway, and some of his fellow classmates
Sorry, just wait for the plane.
Oh, it's just the airplane.
Everyone can hear.
Yeah. We got a helicopter overhead, ladies and gentlemen, and apparently it's loud as hell. Airplane. I still hear it. Okay. I was about to take my clothes off too. I was going to entertain the masses. But now, back to the story. So, Tayshawn was a victim of high school kids grabbing his wheelchair and riding dirty in the hallways. Seen here. Now, what's happened is, I know people will say, well, hey, they don't need to be punished. They're just high school kids doing high school things like this, right? But even if this was Bayside High and it was Saved by the Bell, they still tormented Screech. Don't get it twisted. Screech ain't have a good time at Bayside. I watched the show. They didn't have a good time at Bayside at all. And now I understand what the parents are saying is they want the school to do something to the kids, and the school is saying, hey, they're good kids and they're high school kids being high school kids. And my issue is, don't suspend them, right? But they have to learn that there's some level of consequence. The thing that we're not doing anything is letting people know that there are consequences to actions, right? People just do shit and we're just like, oh no, it happened. There are consequences to action. So these kids, don't suspend them, don't expel them. I was in high school. I get suspended. I'm smoking weed for a week, having a good ass time, then coming back to school being like, I didn't get any of the homework. So send them to community service. And not only just any random community service, send them to community service where their crying or their insensitivity will impact that community. So send them to mental institution with kids and let them actually have to volunteer with these kids who are struggling in their day-to-day lives, so they can hear the stories, get hands-on with these kids, and actually realize, yo, what I did not only was a violation, but also then have a connection so that they will also protect anyone else who decided to pick on and bully kids like Tayshawn. Because a lot of the times we're disconnected to the other side of things, and so we'll do something like tease because it's funny and it's a group, and we miss how detrimental it is to someone else. Like Tayshawn saying, I don't want to go back to school because of how I'm being bullied. And that is ridiculous. Now, let the kids, don't suspend them, don't expel them, give them community service, let them learn. Speaking of people who need to learn lessons, let's go to Cranston, Rhode Island, where Matthew Riley, just go ahead and play the video.
Literally choking in your sleep. Somebody flagged me down about it.
Oh, I have sleep apnea. I'm sorry.
Well, and then you have a crack pipe in your hands, so it's like, what?
Can you hear it? Okay. Yeah, so Matthew Riley was pulled over, and he said, I had sleep apnea, I fell asleep in the car. And they said, someone sent us help, said, hey, gotta help him because he looked like he's choking to death. And he was like, nah, I have sleep apnea. And then the cop was like, hey, you got a crack pipe in your hand. And we cannot have politicians out here smoking rocks. It's just one of those things. Tyrone Biggums would be maybe proud. Anyway, so what happened was Riley eventually stepped down, or came down from his high. I guess both. Came down from his high and then stepped down from his city council position. And this is, you deal with the Republican Party that want to cut budgets and spending for so many things like help for addicts, homeless, mental disabilities, and all of those things. But then you get one of your people smoking rocks. And that's ridiculous. But I've been saying it for years. The Republican Party has been smoking cracks metaphorically and now literally forever. And we'll start with this with Kevin McCarthy. So one, Kevin McCarthy, who we had to vote on 88 times to actually get him to become Speaker of the House. Go figure. walked away from negotiations. Him and the Republican Party walked away from negotiations with the White House for raising our debt ceiling limit. And you go, debt ceiling? What's the debt ceiling? Well, the debt ceiling is literally the U.S.'s restriction on how much debt we can hold as a federal government. That's it. It's the U.S. saying, hey, we don't want to go over this amount of debt. That's it, right? But what happens is when we say we don't want to go over this amount of debt, when we hit the ceiling, things happen. One of those things is, first, they send home unofficial government employees, right? So your janitors, your cafeteria people, the people who work on these government facilities, who have government jobs, who are proud of themselves, are the first people to suffer, not the politicians, the actual laborers. Then what happens is, if it's continued over a long period of time, then we actually start to default on some of our debt payments that we have to pay. What's our debt? Our debt is to some countries. A lot of our debt is to us as U.S. citizens, right? The same way you can break a bank, you could break this country. If everyone in the country at one time was like, hey, I want my bonds that I bought from the U.S. government, the U.S. government would not actually be able to pay for that. Yo, you good? Yeah. Okay. U.S. actually able the money that they owe. The reason why they want to protect the debt ceiling. Now, what happens? And what's important? What's the problem with defaulting? You're call for a card. Hey, you ain't pay your bill. You know your credit rating's going to drop. Okay. We good? All right. I don't know where it started messing up, so I'm just going to go pick back up to at debt ceiling. So the debt ceiling is it's a U.S. government imposed ceiling. We said our federal government will not hold this much debt. Okay. So what happens is, when we hit our debt ceiling, when we hit that limit, the first thing we do is we get rid of I'm going to say it's non-essential. I said non-official. Sorry, non-essential government employees. And the non-essential government employees are the people who the day-to-day government doesn't have to operate through. So that's, again, janitors, window washers, all of the people who actually do the labor aspect of their jobs for making sure the federal government runs. Those are the first people that are sent home. So they suffer. Your politicians, they don't lose a dime, right? And so they're going to push this, and then what eventually happens is, if we still don't have the debt ceiling, and they're saying we won't print more money and we won't pay our debts, then our credit rating drops. The U.S. credit rating is one of the best in the world. On top of that, it's important to keep our credit rating at a AAA. We also are the U.S. dollar is the official global reserve currency, and then the U.S. Treasury is considered one of the safest places to invest. So if you start to chip away at what all of those things are, the U.S. financial, which, yes, we're in a recession right now, but the U.S. as a country financially is fine. But when you play with this debt ceiling, you start to chip away at the global's trust in what the U.S. banking is. And it's a game that you really don't want to play with, but fucking YouTube. But people like Kevin McCarthy and the Republican Party just in general has been on some, we want what we want. And now, what do they want? Why did they walk away from the table? They want budget cuts and spending cuts. Of course they do. And the problem is, a bunch of those spending cuts affect things like drug rehab centers, homelessness, and all of those things. So they want to cut the budgets on those, but then you got Republican Party members smoking crack. Ain't that some shit? That niggas get on my nerves. Now, the thing that's wild is there's only 2 countries in the entire world that actually operate with a debt ceiling, an imposed debt ceiling. It's us, and it's Denmark. Now, Denmark, let's be honest, it's inconsequential. Denmark is still mad at Germany for World War I and II. So, Denmark isn't the big player here. The U.S. is the big player here. And here's the thing, I don't mind the federal government having an imposed debt ceiling limit. The issue with the debt ceiling limit is it's not taking into consideration inflation and a bunch of other things. So what they have to do is sit down and revamp what this debt ceiling looks like so that you're not playing political chicken every couple of years when the Republican Party or the Democratic Party goes, I got demands that I want to make. Because let's be honest, the Democrats aren't opposed to holding the government hostage also. And whenever the government shuts down, it costs the taxpayers money. Go figure that out. Anyway, that is our time here at Comedy Trap House News. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to the chat now. We're going to hop in. If you have any questions, comments, topics you want to talk about, let us know in the chat. And what we got. Yeah, the mic messed up. We fixing that now. Comedy Trap House News. We love that. I'm funny than a motherfucker. I know, dude. I'm funny as shit. I appreciate that, DeMarcus. Pizza, pineapple, deserves. Oh, listen. Janelle's vibe has always been dope, right? Janelle's vibe has always been dope. And I've always thought Janelle Monáe was beautiful. What we didn't know was under the 3-piece suit, as Manny likes to say, that she was holding like dad. Like that's I would be her surrogate, whatever. I don't even know how that works either, but I would do it. Someone again, just like we did last week, Janelle, I think I love you. Like let's just do this. Let's have singing, funny, autistic ass babies, and then shake up the world. Anyway, what?
Put them in the suit.
Listen, I got suits, baby. I got suits. Mic check, mic check. My favorite show. Appreciate that, dude. Old people. Why are we always having old people? Pablo, she is holding. All right. Anyway, why do we always have old people as president? So there are qualifiers to becoming president of the United States, right? So you have to be over the age of 35. You have to have this much time. You have to be a U.S. citizen. All of those things are rules. So what happens is I'm A-okay with making sure politicians have had their teeth cut before we put them into the biggest office of the world. Because if I was president of the U.S. right now, at my young age, over 35, under 40, I would shake up the world, dude. I would drastically make changes. And playing politics doesn't work like that. So in order to play politics, you need someone that's a little seasoned. Now, why are we dealing with someone that's senile? We might be we've gone too far, right? Like we've hit the threshold, right? I think Barack Obama was an amazing president. Young man in his 40s. Rumble, young man, rumble. I think that's where we need to kind of be, 40s and 50s. I think we need to age shit out. But, that would be called ageism. And you can't do that. All you have to really do is just not vote for an old person, right? Like you're looking at the Democratic field from the last election before Biden won, which is the most diverse presidential nominee candidate field, right? And we still voted for the old white guy. Now, a lot of us voted for the old white guy because the other old white guy was a little crazy. Love Bernie Sanders, too far for president, too much. But then you had like Elizabeth Warren, and you had politicians that you could stand behind. I think the problem was everyone's fear was they could not beat Donald Trump. so they voted for Joe Biden because a white man was the best chance we had at beating the other white man. That's why I voted for him. But if we get involved in our local politics, again, I say this all the time, whenever we speak on politics, it all starts on the ground floor. If you get involved in your district, right, those district people move up. Those district people go from district to city council, from city council to state legislation, from state legislation to federal level. Then you can have a politician, not only one, is young, two, you know what their track record is, right? A lot of times when you look at these presidential nominees, you have no idea what their track record is, right? You get some highlights and some lowlights, and you got to make a decision based off of nothing. If you actually get involved in politics, and I don't vote, voting doesn't work. It works if you do it. If you can get into your district and you can get someone that mobilizes people, that makes a difference in your district. That pothole that's been in the road since 1995, have someone come in and get that joint filled, that makes a difference. Oh, okay, this person gets shit done. Oh, they're running for state? Yeah, let's get them on the state. Oh, they're running for federal? Let's get them a federal. That's how we, one, make it younger, two, get involved, and three, make a change in the type of people that you have in office so that you don't have to vote for a 78-year-old guy who's losing his capabilities. Then you got another white guy who hasn't had hair since 85 with a comb over. Like, we can do things, we just have to do them in proper order. We want to overhaul everything when sometimes, what the fuck is this? I don't even know what this is, but now I'm mad. Are you wearing jutes right now? Shit, don't do that. No, I'm not wearing jutes right now, okay? Why would I would never wear jutes. You know why? Because first of all, they're not boot cuts. They're just boots and jeans. I'm not okay with any of this. This is bullshit. Taima, I vote for me too. Outside of the fact that I would never want to be president of the United States of America. President can't swing on people, and the day I swing on Vladimir Putin or the day I swing on someone else, it's World War III. And I'm not, my patience, you're not going to talk crazy to me. You're not going to talk crazy about my country. You're not going to have David Duke at the White House and I think I'm going to beat his ass, or members of my cabinet not whipping his ass. That's the real problem here. You didn't have to ask that. Nobody, that was low. It was unnecessary. You know I don't have no damn jutes on. You knew it. You know, look how suited and booted I am right now. This ain't a jutes outfit. Anybody else got some real shit to ask or question or bring up before I get harassed and picked on by my friends?
Yep.
Listen, this is not the first politician that's been caught smoking crack. It's just not, right? Crack is a problem. Drugs in general is a problem. We have a very massive drug culture here in the U.S. I still blame it on Reagan and Reaganomics for bringing that much cocaine through the borders. But there is a drug problem here, and we celebrate our drug problem in this country. Across the board, we celebrate it, right? Like, you go to a festival, you gotta do shrooms or Molly, or you're not really enjoying the music. You don't get the music right if you're not high. We smoke weed every day, just to get by. Damn, Talib Kweli, I'm about to get a music run right now. We celebrate a drug culture. So when it permeates the top, it's no different than anything else. We have again, there's a lot of baseline things that we have to start with, and it starts from the bottom. Like, hey, I'm gonna get a politician that only smokes a little bit of weed. That's fine. Now, I'm not worried about nuclear codes and secrets on a weed head. He's gonna forget this shit anyway. A crackhead will sell that shit for a couple dollars. That's the problem.
I saw it was like a YouTube documentary, and it was about like how hip hop lies so much in the music, and like people like Future he told Nicki Minaj once that he was like, you know, people think I'm on all these.
I'm about to say, he don't do shit.
And I don't really do. I'm a lightweight.
Yeah.
And then he said, but he raps about it so much. What type of influence is that on everybody? And it has had a big influence.
Well, I mean,
Hip hop is.
here's my thing about hip hop. All right. And then if someone else has one more thing, then we'll leave. If not, we'll move on. My issue with hip hop in itself is hip hop has been manipulated by those in charge to put out a message, that hurts the youth. When hip hop first started, right? When it was me and my friends are out in the park, staying out till it's dark. Like, all they were doing was talking about having fun, dancing, and some of the political issues that affected the black community. That's what hip hop was. It was our blues. It was our message out to each other. What ended up happening was the artists that got promoted the most, because this is all this comes down to, is promotion. The artists that got promoted the most were those that were robbing, drugging. Yeah. So, and that's, mind you, that's part of the black culture. But what happened was the other side of the message went away, right? So we lost all positive rap, and the trade-off was some of the greatest songs ever. But the trade-off was this cut-off of what the community really was. And so now you look at these kids. I have a kid, but you look at these kids now, and they see only this portion of the black culture, right? Right. You want to be a thug. You want to do drugs. You want to smoke. You want to bang on people, and it's like that's not the full story. But that story was told so that it would hurt us. What ended up happening was those powers that be had no idea that hip hop was going to become the cultural phenomenon that it was, and that it was going to affect Timmy and Jimmy and Ken at the same time. And that's why you have someone like Matthew Riley smoking crack rocks in a car in between his meetings. I smoke rocks. Is that it? Oh, listen. We can do this all day. All day. If that's it, that's me. That's our time at Comedy Trap House News. Thank you for coming out and hanging out with us again. It's your boy Marvin Telp. Again, like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. Like, let's push this. The shit is funny, but like, let's make it grow. And I know for the people who watch and aren't subscribed, it's just real simple. Subscribe, click the bell, and they'll let you know the next time we're going live, which is Monday next week. Anyway, and Super Chat, if you want to bless up a little bit, we'll take that too. And that is it. Peace.